What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we're going to focus on the best resolution and aspect ratio for videos for Instagram. Now let's get started. And if you like these videos and you want to see more like it, please subscribe to the channel because I'm constantly creating new content. So let's first talk about camera resolutions. A lot of cameras doing 8K, like the new Canon R5, or even just standard is 4K now. Even your iPhone shoots 4K, but that is very high resolution. And the max resolution that Instagram accepts for video is 1080. So you can see by the difference of resolution in the 4K versus the 8K. And what Instagram's going to do is they're going to just smash that down and compress it, and it's going to make it look awful. So the idea here is to export it, the proper resolution and proper aspect ratio that you want for Instagram, so you have the best possible video resolution. So let's talk about aspect ratio. So the standard widescreen aspect ratio is 16:9. But on a small screen like your iPhone for Instagram, that'll make the video look very small. So another popular aspect ratio they have is 1:1, which is the square you'll see. So you'll see videos in an even square. Sometimes the photos are even square. And another popular aspect ratio is the 4:5 ratio. And the 4:5 ratio is the one you see a lot on a lot of Instagram accounts, where the photo will take up the majority of the screen. So you're taking advantage of the most of the real estate that you possibly can with the 4:5. That's what I use for the majority of my photos and videos. Now let's focus on taking a 4K clip and converting the sequence down to match Instagram resolution. So if you head down here into the project panel, you'll notice I have a 4K clip. The resolution you can see is 3840 by 2160, and the frame rate is 29.97, which is 30 frames a second. So clearly that's much larger than the Instagram resolution. So now we're going to create a new sequence. So when we export the video, it'll be the perfect aspect ratio and resolution that Instagram likes. So let's head down here to the bottom. You're going to see this little new item tab. Click up. We're going to go to sequence because we're going to start a new sequence. I just did the regular DSLR, and I'm just going to, because 1080 is going to be the max. So I'm going to do 1080, but I'm also going to go to settings. So this is where you change. So we talked about aspect ratio, and we also talked about resolution. Let's just say we want to do this standard square video for Instagram. So remember, the max resolution is 1080p. And if we do 1080p here, you'll notice that's going to say vertically 1:1 ratio, which is an even square. Now if we do portrait mode, what that's going to do is that's going to take advantage of the most real estate on the screen on Instagram. So let's keep the 1080 wide, put 1350, and as soon as I click off this, you notice this 1:1 square ratio is going to change to 4:5. See, so it automatically does it. So this always represents the width of the image, and this represents the height of the image. And we'll come down, we're going to keep the 29 frames just because that matches the clip. Go ahead and click start. So now we've started a sequence. If you notice over here in the program monitor, you'll notice the video is not the traditional widescreen 16:9. It's actually the 4:5 ratio for Instagram. So now when we import our video, we're going to bring it over here and drop it in the timeline. And you notice it's going to say it does not match the sequence settings because we created a sequence settings to be good for Instagram. So it's more or less saying the clip that I'm trying to import does not match the sequence settings. Do you want to change the sequence to match the clip, which we do not. I want to keep the existing settings because that's what we just created for Instagram. So now you have the video in here. What we need to do is we need to open it up to fit inside the aspect ratio. And you need to do this whether it's the square or whatever size you decide to make. So let me expand this out. So if we just click on the clip itself, come up here to the source panel, and you're going to head down to effect controls. And this is where we want to scale this up. So we want it to fit that. So now when we play it, we have it centered inside of that frame. You can obviously tweak it a little bit. So you can kind of move it left to right if you want it to be a little more centered. And then you have that ratio. And you can do the same thing with the 1:1, the even square. Or also if you're doing stories, you can go a little bit higher. You can go by 9:16, which is the reverse of 16:9. And the resolution, you can actually go up to 1920 high. But that's only for stories. So what I've covered so far is just for the standard video for the standard uploads. So now we have this set to where we want it to be. It's set up in the exact ratio. Now I'm going to export it. So you can do a couple things. You can do Command M, which will bring up the export tab, or you come up here to File, come down to Export, and then click Export Media. And it'll be the same thing as the shortcut Command M. So now we have our export window out. So as far as format, you can keep it as the H.264. That'll work for Instagram. And as far as the presets, I'm gonna do custom. And then come down here under the video and audio tab, and I'm gonna tip match source. So it's gonna change the width to the same width we did and the height to the same height we had. And that's gonna match that 4:5 ratio. And once again, if you're doing the square ratio, it's gonna be 1080 wide and 1080 high. So scroll down a little bit more. I always click render at maximum depth. I keep the hardware encoding there, that's fine. And then when I get down a little bit further, I'll use VRP 2-pass. Now the bitrate you can see is much higher here. So I'm gonna shrink that down. I know it's gonna seem crazy, but Instagram compresses it so much. So I always do my target bitrate at 8, sometimes even like 7, but usually 8, that's where it caps out for me. You can play with the different areas if you like and see what works. But for me, I found 8 works the best to get the best quality without going overboard. Oh. Keep that 8 again. And come down here, and I use max render quality because the clips are so short, you can only do up to a minute video the most. So once you have all that set, let me just click where I'm gonna put it and put it on my desktop, click save, and then just export. And then once that's going, you'll have the video exported at the lower bit rate, so it's gonna be a much smaller size, and you have the resolution set exactly to Instagram's resolution, so now you're exporting at the exact settings that they're looking for the app. Anyway, I hope that video helped, and if it did, please give it a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. And if you enjoy watching videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. That being said, have a great day. Later.